Hey everybody, I'm Courtney Hashey, cookbook author and blogger. Welcome back to Quarter Kitchen. Today I'm making a chicken cauliflower quinoa coconut curry. Sounds like a lot, but it's all in one pot, so it's fantastic. Okay, so for the chicken, this is another shortcut on this. This dish really doesn't take much time at all. I'm using rotisserie chicken. So I just pull it off the bone in big chunks and then I just chop it up into bite-sized pieces. So this is about 2 to 2.5 cups of rotisserie chicken, just chopped up into bite-sized pieces. Okay, now as far as starting with the curry, in this pot, I have 1 yellow onion, you could use white, chopped like a small medium dice, no big deal either way, with 2 tablespoons olive oil. And you have the salt and pepper, especially salt because it draws out the liquid. Now, we're not looking to do anything but make them a little translucent. They'll keep cooking. You can see I had my heat a little too high at one point because some of them browned a little bit. That's fine. We're not looking to caramelize or anything like that. 3 minutes, good. Okay, now over like a medium-low heat, we're gonna add all our seasonings now. The reason we're adding all our seasonings now is because you have to toast them. They need heat on them in order to taste like themselves and not raw. If you throw any seasonings into liquids, they never turn out right. Don't ever just throw everything in at once. There's a reason to layer all your recipes. So now let's see, it is curry. So I'm gonna add a good 2 tablespoons. Get your measuring spoons out if you want. But I can eyeball this pretty easy. It's a lot. It's curry. Now make sure when you buy your curry, make sure that it's not just, look at the label, always look at the ingredients. Make sure it is not just turmeric and garlic, because that's not good. Okay, now what I'm adding is about 1 teaspoon of granulated onion and the same of granulated garlic. Okay, and then I'm using hot smoked paprika because I love heat. I'm pulling these out because this is hot. This kind that I have is very, very hot. So depending on who you're feeding, you want to be careful. Now, if you have smoked paprika and it's not hot, then you don't have to worry so much about it. This is hot, so I am even starting with 3/4, which is why I measured. I didn't want a whole bunch falling out. With 3/4 of a teaspoon of it, because I don't want it to be too hot. Now, if you're using regular sweet paprika, it's a curry. Curries need some heat. Even if the tiniest little bit, if you just want to add tiniest little bit. If you don't have hot smoked paprika and you're using regular sweet paprika, then just add a little bit of cayenne, just a little bit. It's curry. Curries sometimes blow your head off. You should have had some of them we had in New York City. Ooh, holy moly, even for me, it blew my head off, and I love spice. And now tomato paste. This is another one. Never add tomato paste to water or stock or something. Always, always toast it in the bottom of your pan. I'm adding about 2 tablespoons. It just gives you a little bit of a sweet tomatoey flavor, concentrated obviously, so it's more tomato flavor than, you know, a can of tomatoes. I think a can of tomatoes get in the way of curry anyway. So you just want to mix this around so it hits the heat on the bottom. Like I said, everything needs to be kind of toasted. Otherwise, the flavor is just not there. Okay, this looks pretty good. It's sticking to my pot a little bit more than I'd like it to. Because all this stuff, believe it or not, they're like natural thickeners. All these seasonings. So I'm gonna put a little bit of stock in the bottom. It just helps release it a little bit. Plus, you want all that flavor that's sticking to the bottom of the pot for sure. That's a lot of flavor down there. There we go. Now that'll pick up a lot of that seasoning that we want. Okay, I'm gonna turn it down just a tiny bit and let this go. We have everything in there, right? Yep, we got everything in there. Now, I missed it when I said about the curry powder. Make sure it's not just, as I was saying, turmeric and like garlic powder and that's it. That's not curry powder. It has to have coriander, it has to have turmeric, cumin, bay, nutmeg, ginger. It has to have a myriad of ingredients in it for it to actually taste like a good curry. Now, we all know this can be a serious, colossal pain to cut cauliflower. But you know what? You just have to grin and bear it. It's part of dicing up cauliflower. It goes everywhere. This is the way I like to do it. I took the big core out first so it would lay flat. Then I make steaks out of it. Now, then I just cut into it this way. See, and just cut as much of the stalk off, the center stalk, or the center of it, that I don't want. To me, this is easier than trying to cut all around it like this when it's whole and all this stuff. I think this is easier. There's not even really any in this one. It needs to be cut just a little bit. And then we're just gonna cut it up. I like it for a curry. You wanna bite it. And it's gonna cook, like I said, all this has to come together at the end and cook, like I said, for about 20 minutes. So you don't want it too tiny. You still wanna bite. I don't like overcooked vegetables. That's problematic for me. I like to taste the veg. I like the texture. I don't like overcooked veg. I don't know how people, no insult, no insult. You do what you do in your kitchen, but I have no idea how people eat canned vegetables. Oh my gosh. Frozen, yes. Canned, no, I don't know how you do it. But you keep doing what you're doing if it makes you happy. I can't see you. Okay, so to me, this is a nice size because, again, you still want to get that nice bite. So I'll try to not make even more mess as I add these to the pot. Now I'm going to turn the heat back up because, like I said, it's going to bring it down quite a bit. And then all I'm going to do is stir in the cauliflower with all of those spices and the onion, the sauteed onion. That's it. That's not that bad. I'm using the food mover. It's easy to clean up. Not too bad. Okay, now we just added another ingredient, and that was a good amount. That was, I would say, an average size head of cauliflower. Sometimes you get them and they're like pumpkins these days. They're so big. So another two good pinches. Half a teaspoon, 3/4 teaspoon, I would say, if you're measuring. Start with a half. You can always add at the end. Like I said, you have to layer your dishes in order for them to have good flavor. And I like a lot of black pepper, but especially in a curry, I like a lot of black pepper. Perfect. So now I'm gonna stir this around. You could use a little bit more splash of stock. You could just use water. You don't have to use stock if you don't have it. Or if you'd rather save your stock for better uses, that's fine. Now I'm just gonna stir this until the cauliflower get coated in all that seasoning. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. It'll only take about 3 minutes just to get everything coated. Then we're gonna go to break here real quick. After this is all coated and stirred together, like I said, it'll take about 3 minutes or so just to get them a start. Then I'm gonna take them out and stick them in a bowl because I don't want them to continue to cook. Like I said, all this is gonna come together in the end and cook all together for 20 minutes. And I want to bite to that. So when we come back, these will be out, and then we're gonna add all our liquids and start to pull this beautiful coconut curry together. See you in a few. Okay, we're back, everybody. It's time to add our quinoa. Now, one huge thing you have to do with quinoa that unfortunately sometimes you forget to do is rinse it under cold water. So here I have 1 cup of quinoa. This is white quinoa. You must rinse it under cold water. Again, you can see I just put it in a fine mesh strainer. That's all. And rinse it. If you don't do this, it gets bitter. It can be bitter. A lot of people say, why did I get quinoa out? It's so good. And then when I make it, it has this weird aftertaste. It's because you didn't rinse it. It's simple. It's not about like rocks and all that stuff in it or anything like that. It's just what it is. You have to rinse it. That's not hard to do, right? We're gonna go from here right into the pot. Now, obviously, some of the seasonings and some of the onions came with the cauliflower that I took out. No big whoop. It's all going back in the same place again anyway. So there we go. There's our quinoa, all nice and rinsed. Now we're gonna add in our liquids. Now, typically quinoa is 1 to 2. So 1 cup quinoa would be obviously 2 cups. I get quinoa everywhere. Would be 2 cups liquid. I'm making this differently because I'm making it all in one pot. There's going to be more liquid than that, but it's going to suck it up. And quinoa doesn't do what rice and pasta do and get overcooked. It'll stay nice and al dente for you throughout this cook. Believe it or not, it works. Okay, let me turn the heat up a little bit.
Is quinoa pasta?
Quinoa, heck no. And it's not even a grain. Believe it or not, we all think it's a grain. It's a seed. But we treat it like a grain. The way we cook it, it's like grain, but it's actually a seed. Okay, so here I have coconut milk. Full fat coconut milk. You could use low fat. I've used it in the past. I didn't mind it. Some people say it shouldn't be used, but I didn't mind it so much. I'm using full fat. Now this is a little over 13 and a half ounces. They come anywhere over 13 and a half ounces to 15 and a half, or to 15 and a half ounces. It's okay. It's not gonna really change the recipe that much. If that's what you find is a larger can, a couple ounces is not gonna hurt you in any way. So that goes into our quinoa. Now for the rest of the liquids, I'm adding, because that's 13 and a half, I'm gonna start with 1.5 cups of chicken stock. I think that'll be about right. Now what I'm gonna do, don't put the lid on. That's another thing people do when they make quinoa. They read the directions on the back, it says put the lid on. Don't. Just put your heat up to bring it to a simmer, a low simmer. Don't boil, low simmer. Let this go. Usually quinoa takes anywhere from around 8 minutes. So once it comes to a simmer, which will take, a couple minutes since we just had cool ingredients. Once it comes to a simmer, and about 4 minutes, like half the way through the quinoa, that's when we'll add back into the dish our barely seared off cauliflower. Put that in, and then at the end, we're just gonna add in our chicken, and we're gonna add in a little bit of yogurt. But I'll come back in about 8 minutes after this is all absorbed. All right, I already added in the cauliflower. So I just added it in, like I said, halfway between the cook time for the quinoa. The quinoa is getting there. It's not quite done yet. It will continue to absorb all these amazing flavors. Now I'm gonna add in a cooling agent, 1/2 cup of, please don't ever use anything but full fat Greek yogurt. This cools and it not just cools, it just gives it a nice texture, really nice texture to the sauce. Okay, just mix that in. Now, again, like always with dairy, if you have it on too high, it can curdle. We don't want that. So make sure you have your heat. You barely want to simmer at this point. And then we're gonna add in our chicken. This is both white and dark meat. You use whatever you want, but like I said, it's about 2.5 cups of chopped rotisserie chicken. Beautiful. One of my favorite friends in life. This is such a quick curry. I thought, why not just use rotisserie chicken? Okay, there we go. Now that's looking like a chicken cauliflower coconut curry right there. Quinoa will absorb a lot more. I'm leaving the chicken stock here. So after this, I'm gonna cook this for 20 minutes because again, the cauliflower is still raw. Now obviously the chicken's cooked through. Quinoa still needs to soak up all the flavors. Everything needs to come together. So I'm gonna put the lid on a jar. So we keep a lot of the steam in, but some steam comes out. It works best that way. So I'm gonna let this go for 20 minutes and put the lid on. Make sure it's at a low simmer, again, because of that yogurt. So 20 minutes from now, this is gonna be ready. The quinoa will be nice and tender. Chicken, oh my gosh, it's gonna all soak it up. So we come back, we'll serve this delicious curry. Okay, so our quinoa has absorbed a lot of all those delicious flavors between the coconut milk and the stock, and everything's come together. The cauliflower still has a nice texture to it. So let me show it to you. Now, one thing that I did not mention, look at that quinoa, oh my gosh. Curry and chicken. One thing that I did not mention, I'm sorry, I'm staring at this like a zombie. So, one thing I forgot to mention, halfway through the cooking process, make sure you use your spatula. Scrape the bottom because the quinoa can stick to the bottom of your pot. So make sure halfway through you go in and mix it. This really did, I gave it 20 minutes, so 10 minutes I stirred it at the bottom. A little bit was sticking, but it comes right up as long as you stir it. And this is it. I don't think it needs much. You can put a little lime on the side if you want. I like some cilantro on mine. That's about it. I don't think it needs much more. You can always put another dollop of yogurt if you like. So let me try to take a taste. I'll show you this quinoa. I know it looks a little logged down, but believe me, it has absorbed all those flavors like you wouldn't believe. I did add a little bit more heat because that smoked paprika, that 3/4 teaspoon wasn't even close enough for me, so I added straight up cayenne for you 20 minutes ago. It's delicious. It's spicy. Get it in the back of your throat. You get that coconut milk flavor, and then of course the curry comes straight away. This is really delicious, and that took, I mean, maybe 40 minutes start to finish, maybe if you're lucky. So get in the kitchen and make this really fun. If you don't make curries a lot, I know we cut a lot of corners, but it's still, at the end of the day, it is darn good. So make this curry for your family and friends. They're gonna love it. Thank you for watching. Your likes, shares, and comments are always welcome, so keep them coming. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And remember, hit Moby's cute little bell icon over there. If you haven't checked out my books, Jatters and Jacobs for the Week, Continental Taste Volume 1 and Volume 2 is out. You can find them all on Barnes & Noble and on Amazon. And you can always check out my website, CourtneyHashy.com, for more recipes. And as you always know, until I see you again very soon, I'm always sending hugs. So get your curry on.